Intro music.
On it.
A star for the ages for Tony Gwynn, number 3,000.
And the ball game is over. The series is over. Welcome to Slam Diego.
My name is James.
My name is Joey.
And this is the Brothers Padre.
James. It's one of my favorite times of the year. It's the All-Star break. Baseball has stopped playing, except the Midsummer Classic. And it's kind of nice because you kind of like don't have anxiety watching your team. So you're like, it's a little vacation in the middle of the season.
Plus the National League won for the first time in 9 years.
Amazing. I don't feel that much pride for the National League, but it was nice to see.
It was.
And it's a yearly tradition. You and I like history. We like weird baseball players. And every year we play a weird game in the All-Star break, where we look up old baseball players and their wins above replacement and have different rules every year around it. This is our second or third year?
Second time we've done it.
Second time we've done it.
Second time we've done it on the podcast.
That's true.
We've done nerdy things like this our whole lives.
Yeah,
we've built up baseball teams with just cards we've had.
Yeah.
We've played Magic the Gathering, but our own rules, but with baseball.
So this is if you're waiting for a Padres recap, not the episode. We're just going to go talk about old baseball players that we like, because that's what we like doing. And so I'm very, very excited about this year's draft. Is it kind of like a draft?
So last year what we did was we went through all of baseball history, and we had to pick players with our first names. I won that draft.
Yeah.
By almost 200 points.
So we calculate we're only doing wins above replacement WAR and baseball reference WAR. It's very important. Baseball reference WAR. And last year, basically, like I said, we had to make a team up of people that are named Joseph or James, and Joseph's did me dirty.
Although you have some really tall guys.
There's some like Joe Morgan, the most underrated baseball, probably one of the most underrated baseball players of all time. You know, the best second baseman of all time, probably. And Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah.
And then it's just a steep cliff. No disrespect to Joey Votto, of course, but you know, it's a
and there's been a few Jameses that
yeah.
So this was this parameters for this All-Star game. I was born in January. Joey was born in December.
Yep, that's what I've been led to believe. Yes,
I was at your birth.
Okay.
I remember it. Anyways, so we have to pick players born in our birth month. The caveat is if there's somebody on our original James or Joseph team, they have to be on this team, and we have to have somebody, at least one person, born on our birthday. And Joey and I share a birthday. We are both, the day. We're both born the 27th.
Yep. Yeah, I'm super stoked. So we're gonna go from catcher. So we have to fill out a lineup of all 9 positions. DH and the 9th pitcher position. We're picking 5 pitchers.
Yes.
So, do you want to go first, James? Do you want me to go first?
I went first last. You went first last year. Let me go first.
Okay.
Year. So leading off, my catcher position, born January 17th. Mm-hmm. Played from 1971 to 1987. Darryl Porter. And who is Darryl Porter, you might say?
That was literally my next question.
4-time All-Star, Darryl Porter. Basically, a first-class defensive catcher. Like, everyone says the same thing. He was one of the best defensive catchers, and he was one of those guys that just always played the game right, but never seemed to win a Gold Glove, even though apparently he should have. And I guess that's what happens when you play during the same time as Johnny Bench and some other really good defensive players. But Darryl Porter, he has a career WAR of 40.8. And he was just a really nice guy. And he shares a birthday with our eldest sister,
Wow. So he was what was the years he's playing?
71 to 87.
And who did he play for?
He played for
71 through 87. Catchers were just built differently back then. You know what I mean? They were just around.
Milwaukee, Kansas City, and St. Louis and Texas Rangers.
He just hated the coast, man. It's like, don't ever get me to that coast.
Yeah.
Keep me in the middle.
I'll show you a photo of the guy. If he looks, could you pick a more Midwestern guy?
I mean, he looks like, I don't, no disrespect to him, but he looks like a Darryl Porter.
He does look like Darryl Porter. I mean, he only misses a big Midwestern mustache, but I only have 2 photos of him, so I don't know. I would assume at one point he had a Midwestern mustache.
Yeah.
So that's my first guy, Joey.
That's a good solid Midwestern pick. I really appreciate it. My catcher position, arguably the best catcher of all time, one Johnny Bench.
I was afraid that you were going to have Johnny Bench.
Johnny Bench played almost not the exact same time, but from 67 to 83. Once again, catchers back then just stuck around. They didn't be like, oh, my knees. Like, whatever. Rub some dirt on it. That's what that philosophy of catcher was, right? Johnny Bench is I don't want to get this wrong, a 14-time All-Star, 2-time MVP getter, Rookie of the Year, and
the greatest catcher of all time.
Let me count his Gold Gloves. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 10 Gold Gloves. So often top 10 MVP vote getter. Very cool guy. He's still around. He still has those weird like lotion commercials he's in. Blue Emu, are you familiar with this? Not a sponsor. I wouldn't mind if they were a sponsor though.
Yeah, the contact is Blue Emu.
He's famous because he can hold like 5 balls in his hand at once, which is not a real skill you want as a catcher, but somehow he has that skill. Anyway, he has a 75 career WAR. So
oh wow! I would actually expect that's low. I would expect more from a guy.
I think WAR doesn't like catchers as much. I think it's just because you're not as. I don't know why. I just feel like it's not catcher's position defensively isn't graded that well in WAR. But I would agree too. I would expect him to be the highest of all time. I think maybe Yogi Berra is the highest of all time when it comes to catcher. Also, Johnny Bench was a first baseman and a third baseman too. Yogi Bench was 59 WAR. Not even close. So, anyways, that is my. Also played for the Cincinnati Reds his whole career, so I always like that. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. Solid pick. I mean, I would have probably looked for somebody better, but you know, what are you gonna do? So my first baseman, born January 31st, played from 1936 to 1953, missed 3 years due to World War II. Three?
What? What baseball reference are you on? The multiverse one?
One of us might be dyslexic. Anyways, missed 3 years playing due to World War II. He's one of the greatest what-if players. Him and Ted Williams are one of those guys. 70s, he probably, like people always say, he could have gotten to 500 home runs if they really tried, but still he had 70.6 WAR in his career. Johnny Mays is his name, Hall of Famer.
True. People often do mention him as the big what if.
But even if he's a what if, he still had a pretty good career. Like, no one's going to argue that guy doesn't have a great career.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just like, yeah, he was just a good, solid player for so many years. He had 2,000 hits. But again, he only played 15 years. Would have had 18 if World War II hadn't happened, and that was right in the middle of him, like always being an MVP character type player. So Johnny Mays is my pick.
That's a good that's like a real good baseball history pick too.
Yeah. Now this was the first oh no, I have to dump somebody that I really kind of. Anyways, this game, you have to make some cuts.
Oh yeah, there are some cuts later on in my roster I had to make, and
the hardest one is for the second base position, but I'll tell you about that after you're done with your first baseman.
Good pick, James. My first baseman for my team, one of the greatest Detroit Tigers of all time, played 22 years as a Detroit Tiger, a 16-time All-Star.
Is this Ty Cobb?
No. He's later.
What?
Al Kaline comes in at 3,007 hits, 399 home runs, 10,000 career bats, and 92.8 WAR.
Never even heard of this dude.
I mean, he's like
When did he play?
first base and outfield.
No, when
did he play? From 53 to 74. Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, he played on some. I don't want to be rude because I don't truthfully don't know if the Tigers won during this time, but I don't think they're like an especially good team during this time. But
No, you really only hear about the Tigers when Ty Cobb was playing for him, and maybe early 2000s.
yep. So he comes out in. I mean, I think I have a buddy, the Tiger fan. Al Kaline is like their guy, like their legendary guy. Him and Ty Cobb are like the legendary guys, and so he's my first baseman, born in Baltimore, Maryland, in December 19th, James. So who's your second baseman? This was a tough position for me. So go ahead.
My first second baseman.
Yeah.
Born January 15th. Bobby Grich.
Okay.
All right.
Is this like some like Akron groomsman from the 1730s or
No, this was the hard. So he played from 1970 to 1986.
Who is this guy? I'm looking right now.
So great mustache.
Oh, like a top mustache.
This was the hardest position for me because there was somebody who was born in January that's a Hall of Famer but doesn't have as high a WAR as he does. And so Bobby Grich played 17 years, 6-time All-Star. He was just one of those steady infielders that would give you decent at-bats, decent infield, but he had 71.1 career WAR.
He had a great career.
He's not in the Hall of Fame. And like I said, the guy that I had to replace him with was Jackie Robinson.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Jackie Robinson only has 50 career WAR.
if you include the time in the Negro League, probably would be.
It's really hard to try. And I wanted I think you should give me at least 20 on that, Joe, because everyone's number. But this guy has higher WAR.
Bobby Grich had a great career.
He had a great career. Look at his stats. Look at his stats.
Yeah, his OPS is killing it. All over 700 as a second baseman, which is second base one of the weakest offensive positions in all the sport.
Yeah, he had 1 year where he had below 1978, sorry, where he had lower than 700 OPS. That was it.
Wild.
Absolutely.
How many games did he play that year, though? Wow. 77 he had a low OPS?
78.
Oh, yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, the rest of his career is awesome. He played 152 games 1 year.
Yeah,
This guy's a dude. This guy's like a dude.
Yeah, he clearly had, he solid player, 6-time All-Star. He won the World Series in 1970. I mean, he finished 10th in the All-Star MVP voting 2 times in his career. This guy was just a solid all-around player that nobody talks about.
A California Angel. Maybe that's why.
Who's your second baseman there, Joe?
Yeah, so your career WAR was 771. And there's one guy and there's the next guy is 10 WAR. So mine is Craig Biggio.
Oh.
Coming at 65.4 career
No.
WAR.
Bobby beats Biggio?
Yeah.
Hashtag Bobby Grich Hall of Fame. I don't know what he is morally as a person, but that guy has to be in the Hall of Fame.
It's gotta be. Is Craig a Hall of Famer now? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is.
If Craig's a Hall of Famer, Bobby needs to be a Hall of Famer. What are we doing here? Honestly, Bobby may have had a better career than Craig Biggio. Maybe there's a conspiracy against the California Angels. I'm just gonna say it. I'll be the brave one here.
I think it was Craig Biggio's second highest Ironman streak since, Cal Ripken Jr., most stolen bases.
1,200 more hits.
Yeah. Could have been 3,000 hit club. Could have been that.
So Craig Biggio, famous Houston Astro, played with the National League Houston Astros. Remember that they were in the National League for a little bit?
I do. A little bit. Most of their career, up to the last 5 years.
Yeah, he was born December 14th. He accepted 3,000 hit club. A very good baseball player. Played second base for a bit of time. Also played catcher and center field, which is interesting. I don't know if I'd ever want him in center field, but he was center field at some point. That's pretty cool. I never won an MVP vote, but was a Silver Slugger, a 6-time All-Star, and a multi-Gold Glove winner. So, Craig Biggio of the National League Houston Astros.
All right. So, you can't go wrong with Biggio. My shortstop, born January 5th, Bill Delane. Oh, my goodness. Why can't I read tonight? Dahlen. Delane.
CHL what?
D.
Okay. Oh, Delane. I heard it as
Dullen.
Delane? I think it's Delane.
That's what I think.
I mean, he's from the 19th century. He's not going to be offended. He's dead.
Yeah, he's played from 1891.
Wow, what are these stats I'm looking at?
So his nickname was Bad Bill.
I mean,
apparently he was a feisty fellow that liked to get in fights in the dugout with his own players.
I love it. I love
bat boys.
I love me a good bad boy. A good 19th century bad boy.
Not in the Hall of Fame. 75.3 career WAR, 2,400 hits. The dude just played for 21 years. And from what I could tell, I've read multiple articles about this guy, and Delane, and everyone says the same thing. Not a nice man.
I mean, there's so many 19th century players that are just horrible human beings, but they play baseball well, and it's very funny. It's very funny that some of these people are just like,
to quote somebody,
yeah,
at least Cobb wasn't Delane.
That's hilarious. He played. And this is not a joke, people. The Brooklyn Superbas was a real baseball team. He also played for the New York Giants, the baseball team. Also played for the Boston Doves.
That's a name that's gonna strike fear in your opponents.
Also the Chicago Colt.
Yeah.
And a Brooklyn Dodger.
And
for those keeping score at home, none of those teams exist anymore.
Well, so one of the things I read about him is the reason why he was in so many teams is because he outstayed his welcome in a lot of places.
That's awesome. So I need to offer a correction. Chicago Colts in 1897 changed their name to Chicago Orphans.
Orphans?
Orphans.
When you say orphan, do you mean
like without
person's lost his parents?
Yeah.
Orphan frequently.
Very fun name change that was approved by someone in 1897.
Oh, different time back then. Different time.
So, my shortstop. Are you done? Sorry,
I'm done. Bad Bill.
Shortstop. Also another modern player, also from this era. This Craig Biggio, Bobby Grich era. One Ozzie Smith.
Good Lord. So before this we started, we did the parameters, and Joey was hinting at me, there's just no way I'm going to win this one.
Yeah, we'll recap why I said that. So he is a very good shortstop, probably the gold standard of modern glove for shortstops. Even though he had a plenty good enough bat to be serviceable. Was a member of our San Diego Padres, famously from 78 to 81, and then finished his long career in the St. Louis Cardinals organization. He has, he's played for 19 years. 4 of them he wasn't an All-Star. So 15-time All-Star, multiple-time Gold Glove winner. Ozzie Smith had a 76.9 wins above replacement. Hall of Famer. all around good guy. How many home runs do you think he hit in his career?
9.
Times it by 3-ish.
Okay.
28. So, yeah, I was not known for his pop. Let's just say that. So, and that wasn't.
But he had a good OPS. He got on base. He scored runs.
Yep.
He wasn't going to embarrass you, but
No.
yeah, he was defensive.
He'll give you a bat from time to time. So,
Yeah.
who's your third baseman? James?
My third baseman, born January 16th, is the guy who was from my James team, old Jimmy Collins.
You love people that are like very dead.
He played 53.3 WAR. He played from 1895
Yeah.
to 1903, and if you remember from last year, was the playing manager for the first ever World Series team win for the Boston Red Sox. So as of my team last year, he's also going to be my manager because, like I said, if you win the first World Series, that means you're the best.
Yes, that's what you're known for.
You're the best. Obviously, you're going to manage every team because that means you're the best. Hall of Famer, doesn't have the best stats, but I think it's because he was the first guy to win the World Series. And if you win the first World Series, that means you're the best World Series manager. That's how that works. Cool. Old Jimmy Collins.
My third baseman is my first old timer of the whole draft. One King Kelly is his name. He is a Hall of Famer. He played right fielder, catcher, and third base. He debuted in 1878. We barely finished the Civil War before this. And he finished his long career in 1893. He is I would say probably a okay bat, but who knows if these stats are real. According to Baseball Reference, they're real. And was just, records show, a good baseball player. The Old Timers Committee liked him so much in 1945, they elected him. He wasn't elected via normal means. So...
was like one of the first old time committee guys.
Yeah, he was one of the first. He was in the inaugural induction, 1945. He was elected.
Oh wow! That means there are players that were voting for him that watched him play.
Yeah,
because
tragically died in 1894 at the age of 36 in Boston, Massachusetts.
Wow.
So King Kelly was a light too bright for this world. No disrespect. No.
How much career WAR did he have?
46.
Oh, okay.
Here's a funny thing. As an aside, old-time baseball stats are literally like people looking at newspaper clippings and saying that's their stat.
Oh,
that's
I know.
it. And it's like, but who says the person that wrote the newspaper was honest? What if King Kelly's mom ran the newspaper? Like, oh, King Kelly hit a bunch of doubles today. Like,
yeah, exactly.
There was no fact checks in 1875. Who's gonna be like, and if you just spread bad stats?
Hey, Joey, whoa. Are you telling me the media lies?
But imagine this: the media lies, and you have to risk a 7-hour journey and almost die to get the newspaper. You're like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, if you get the newspaper, you're just assuming that everything's right.
You would think they'd be a little bit more honest because it was so hard to get news back then.
Anyways, that is my third baseman of the 19th century.
So we're into the outfield. And this is the player born on my birthday, January 27th. And I will say this. If I, in my current 40th year in health and conditioning, were to play 3 years from here on out in professional baseball, would probably have the most WAR of anybody born on January 27th. My guy that was born on January 27th played from 1920 to 1931. His name was Bip Falk. And
What a great name.
And I looked into it. Bip wasn't short for anything. Bip was his first name.
What a wild name.
Now, he had 22.8 career WAR.
Bib Falk?
Yeah.
As a manager? Oh, I'm looking at his manager.
He was a man.
My bad.
That's why people remember him. But in his playing days,
Very forgettable manager career, by the way. Very forgettable.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
But he was a manager long when he was a hitter. But his playing days, one thing happened in 1919 where the White Sox had to fire all their players, and they had to bring Bip up from AAA to replace Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Also, my Joseph team last year.
Yep, I know. But he had a batting average of 314, so he could get on base. But again, it's like old-timey stats. Who knows what happened? Anyways, Bip Folk. The less we talk about him, I mean, my birthday has a lot of great people born on it. I just want to say, like, Mozart shares a birthday with me.
Yeah, can Mozart hit a fastball, though?
No. No.
Not very helpful for this exercise.
No, not at all. Kaiser Wilhelm III was born on my birthdays, too. He had a little kind of funny hand, so he couldn't hit a baseball, but he could probably, with his money, could put together a good baseball team.
You know, there was, what's the one-handed pitcher guy name? What's that guy's name? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but he had a left-hand weird hand because he was also inbred, so he probably also couldn't run very fast.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. This is my favorite part of my team. I'm just going to say the outfield position is...
All these guys have 100-plus WAR?
Only one of them doesn't have it. So, I'm going to start with... probably my favorite old-time baseball player. A lot of everyone's favorite old-time baseball player. And that's Old Hoss Radbourn. Are you familiar with Old Hoss Radbourn?
I know who he is.
Old Hoss we talk about colorful characters. He's the king of colorful characters. He likes to fight. He likes to make fun of people. I am not making this up. The rude gesture that we do in driving, we people, the bird,
the finger.
He is the very first person ever to be photographed giving someone the bird.
Instantly my hero. I know.
Incredible. Like he does it, and he doesn't do it once. He does it a lot. There's like multiple photos of him doing it.
When did he play?
He's a pitcher and right fielder. Because back then, you just need warm bodies.
But when did he play?
1881 to 1891. So 10 years. In 11 years, he collected 75 WAR. Wow. That's wild. Yeah, so...
If you read any baseball history, they always bring up this guy as the original meme.
He's the original Babe Ruth Shohei. Like, there's no way around it. It's just like he's that guy, right? But once again... Who knew a level of competition? Who knew if what? I bet you Miss Radbourn owned the media. It was just like, hey, my son Old Hoss, the rebel, is gonna have good stats,
Yeah.
And no one could fact check it. So that's my first outfielder, Old Hoss Radbourn.
So my next outfielder, born January 10th, don't you know? Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Willie McCovey.
Okay, yeah. I know Willie McCovey.
I didn't realize he had this long of a career. He played from 1959 to 1980. Mm-hmm. Famous outfielder for the Giants. They named McCovey Cove was named after him. Now
Played a little bit for the San Diego Padres too.
Mm-hmm. Well, he played for a lot of teams. One of the things about him was he just played forever, and he was never like. He has 512 home runs. He only really had 4 years where he was a dominant home run hitter, but he was always a consistent hitter. And when you play for 22 years, that gets you in the Hall of Fame. And he was, great player. He's also was a first baseman. But my first baseman had more WAR than Willie McCovey. 64.5 WAR for Willie McCovey. And I think one of the reasons why is because everyone remembers him for his great years, but he had a lot of middling years. But Hall of Famer, everyone loves him. people still say he's one of the best and nicest people who ever played the game. So Willie McCovey is my player. And now you're going to pull some 100-plus WAR guy?
Yeah. Famously, a baseball writer once said, if you split this guy in three, you have 3 Hall of Famers. One of the all-time favorite players of you and I, we grew up watching him on our own Padres team for a brief little bit of time. The King of Steel, one Ricky Henderson, who has 111 career WAR. If you're unfamiliar with Ricky Henderson, he is by far one of the most entertaining people you'll ever watch interviewed. He is an incredible baseball player, 3,000 career hits, all-time stolen base record, 2,000 career runs, 1,400 stolen bases, 2,100 walks. The guy was a very good baseball player. He played the outfield, and Ricky is just, born on Christmas Day, which is just like the most Ricky Henderson thing of all time.
Yeah, it really is. Because he was a gift to the world.
Yeah. Batted through lefty, but batted righty. Like, there's so much about him. It's just so funny. And obviously because I liked him, and I was very happy to see that he was born in December, and I had to pick Ricky. So.
Well, yeah, of course I'd pick Ricky Henderson. Ricky Henderson, great. I mean, I'll say his stolen base record is the most unbeatable record in sports.
Yeah, it'd be wild to get to that record.
He's probably if anyone ever made a list of the top 5 greatest baseball players of all time, he probably wouldn't be on anyone's list until you showed him the stats. And he's undeniably easily in the top 5 greatest baseball players of all time.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you watched him play, and he was just like, the dude was designed and built to play the game of baseball. So, Ricky, one of my all-time favorites. As I said earlier, also a Padre for a brief moment.
All right.
So that's my second outfielder. Who's your second outfielder?
Well, the third outfielder. My third outfielder is the guy with the highest WAR on my team.
Okay.
Not in the Hall of Fame. Could be an injustice. He has 101.5 career WAR. He has 2 Gold Gloves. And played from 101.6 WAR, not in the Hall of Fame. It is one of the biggest injustices. Could be that he retired last year. Of course, it's Albert Pujols. 700.
I forgot he was a left fielder. I'm like, he wasn't an outfielder. And then sure enough, right on top of Baseball Reference, first baseman, left fielder, and third baseman.
Yes. He didn't win the Gold Glove for left field.
No, one would assume not. No.
I mean, I like to bring up the fact that he won Gold Glove because if you ever watched him play, how did he win Gold Gloves? Even any of the positions he played in the field, he was not very good at it.
He also played some right field.
Yeah. This is funny about WAR, okay?
Yeah.
So Baseball Reference has about 101.5 WAR.
Yeah.
MLB.com has 105.6 WAR.
Yeah.
So I went with the 0.6.
I mean, obviously one of the all-time bests.
Yeah. I mean, one of the only 4 people in the 700 home run club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Albert Pujols.
Amazing.
I don't have to go in the history books for him.
No. My third outfielder, probably the bad boy of baseball in history. People have always considered him either falsely or truthfully. That's the biggest jerk in baseball. Known to play very rough. Played for the Detroit Tigers most of his career in the early 20th century. One Ty Cobb. Arguably one of the best, if not the best baseball player of all time. 4,189 hits. Only 117 home runs, but different time.
Dead ball era.
Yeah.
And he famously said if he didn't want to play hard, he'd hit home runs.
True. I mean, Dude was a beast on the baseball path. His baseball reference page is insane. I would highly recommend just to browse every so often just to remind yourself how crazy this guy is. Often had over 1,000 OPS. Dude was just a beast. He only won the MVP once. Maybe it was someone else in that same time period.
Or maybe they only had MVP 1 year when he played.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Ty Cobb is an obvious pick. I had to pick him, obviously. It'd be crazy not to. And, I think he completes my outfield well. Ty Cobb, Ricky Henderson, Old Haas,
Yeah. I mean,
I think in this weird Field of Dreams version of this, it'd probably be this clubhouse isn't great. It's a pretty toxic clubhouse, if I'm being honest. This team is not, you would not, you have some good guys, Ozzie, Johnny Bench, but Old Haas and Ty Cobb. And
first of all, Old Haas and Ty Cobb probably wouldn't like to be playing with all of the
yeah, that's true.
African American players.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Fair point. So that's my outfield. And moving to the designated hitter position.
Well, my designated hitter, because designated hitter, we can put whoever we want there. Yeah. My designated hitter is an actual designated hitter.
Okay.
Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Played from 1987 to 2004.
I think I know who this is.
With 68.4 WAR. Who do you think it is?
Edgar Martinez.
Yeah, of course, that's Edgar Martinez.
He's the designated hitter.
Yeah,
he's the best designated hitter of all time, probably.
312 batting average. Yeah, 309 home runs. Played for the Mariners forever. The dude was just
hitting machine.
18 years, captain consistency. Yeah, he was outstanding. And he's one of those guys that because he played for the DH, because he played defense sometimes, but he was worse than Pujols in defense. You rest the DH to give your other players time to DH. So he missed a lot of games. I mean, if he would have played, he probably would have gotten close because he had 2,200 hits. He probably would have come close to 3,000 and probably close to 500 home runs if he played all those years. And if he was a full-time player. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's in the Hall of Fame is because people recognized for his position, just playing the DH, he wasn't going to get all those at-bats. Also, he's controversial because people thought because he's a DH primarily he should go to the Hall of Fame. But then people were like, well, no, Frank Thomas is coming up. Like, yeah, that's true.
Right. Or David Ortiz also.
Yeah, exactly.
They're both, yeah. That's awesome. And actually, my DH has played almost the same exact years, from 89 to 2005. The most famous Canadian baseball player of all time, probably. Started his career with the Montreal Expos and the Colorado Rockies and finished his career with the St. Louis Cardinals. Hall of Famer Larry Walker.
Good choice.
All-around good guy. We grew up watching him. Grew up hating him. Hated. He was like, I'm trying to think of he's kind of like what Ketel Marte was like a year or two ago. The guy, and probably what Corbin Carroll is going to be like, just a guy.
He was a Charlie Blackmon.
Right. That's a way better example. He's like Charlie Blackmon. Yeah. Just like, how the heck is he so good against us? That was Larry Walker.
When he left Colorado to go to St. Louis, I think people in San Diego had parties.
Yeah. So it was awesome. He's an awesome player. And born December 1st, 72.7 WAR, Hall of Famer. Just recently put into the Hall. So very exciting for him.
Yeah.
Were him and Edgar the same class? I can't remember. They're both pretty recent.
No, Edgar came first. Edgar was inducted to the Hall of Fame. It doesn't tell me on Baseball References when he put in the Hall of Fame, but he came first because Larry Walker. There was a whole campaign.
Yeah, you're right. 2019 was Edgar Martinez, and 2020 was Larry Walker. Yeah. Cool. So
my first pitcher, ace of my staff, Hall of Famer, born January 31st, so he's just squeezed in there. 81.3 WAR, which is surprising when you think the guy had 5,714 strikeouts.
Okay.
1996, My goodness, I'm so dyslexic tonight. 1966 to 1993. Of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Nolan Ryan.
I mean, obviously had to pick him.
324 career wins. I mean, 292 career losses because he played for a lot of bad teams.
Oh, yeah. Very bad team.
I mean, he led the league with the lowest ERA and the highest strikeout rate and the most losses one year.
Yeah.
For starters.
It's a bad look.
But that's on the Astros. That's all on the Astros.
Yeah, that's 1987. So wild.
Wild. You forget that he came up with the Mets.
Yeah.
Because the Angels and the Texas years are only thing people talk about. But he's just one of the all-time greatest baseball people ever. And just like
27 years. That's insane.
I still love the greatest baseball fight of all time when he hit Robert Ventura in his final year. He's 45 years old, and this 20-something-year-old Ventura charges him, and he just grabs him in a headlock and just starts pounding him in the face. And I just love when the fight breaks up, and the umpire walks up to Nolan and goes, "You okay to keep going?" And Nolan's buttoning up his shirt. "Yeah, I can keep going." And people are like, "Why did they kick him out?" And the umpire was like, "Because it's Nolan Ryan. You don't kick out Nolan Ryan."
That's so wild.
That's my first pitcher.
What a wild career. Wow. His first, he was like, he debuted at 19 and then sent back down and came back when he was 21. Just never stopped playing. That's wild. What I would love to see in Baseball Reference, if you're listening to Baseball Reference, I would love to see total pitches thrown.
They didn't keep track of that kind of stuff back at that time.
I bet you're probably right. Especially the old time.
Well, no, that was one of the things that I saw so recently. They didn't. It wasn't until his last couple of years where they kept track of pitches thrown. That wasn't something anyone ever did.
That's wild.
And they knew that his last no hitter he threw almost 200 pitches.
That's wild. Well, for my first pick, I'm going a little different. This is, I haven't noticed, but I haven't done my two mandatory picks yet. So, the first Joseph team.
Your pictures of Joseph? All the Joseph pictures were terrible. I might win this.
San Diego's own No Joe.
Oh.
Well, you say that. He had 11.7 career wins.
Oh, yeah, because he hasn't played that long.
He hasn't played that long. And his best years are the last 2 years. So, obviously, Joe Musgrove. Big fan of Joe Musgrove. Happy to have him on my team. I think he balances out the toxic culture. Not completely. There's a little bit in my clubhouse.
Your clubhouse will win the World Series, then rob a bank, and then burn down a city.
Yeah, it's not.
And then start a race
not
war.
Healthy. Not a healthy place. So Joe Musgrove is my only Joseph pick, and obviously I had to pick him, but happy to have him. I'm happy to see Mr. Joe part of the rotation, and that's my first pitcher.
My next pitcher was born January 6th, played from 1939 to 1963. His name was Early Wynn, Hall of Famer, 61 career WAR. He has 300 wins, and for 14 years pitched over 200 innings. He is the definition of innings eater, captain consistency when it comes to pitchers.
270 inning pitches. I mean, this guy throws innings. He'll throw some innings for you.
Yeah, he was an innings eater. Played for Cleveland, played for the Washington Nationals, Chicago White Sox. He was captain consistency. Like I said, Hall of Famer. 300 wins, 244 losses. A career ERA of 3.54. Not the best, but again, if you're looking for a guy that's not going to that can keep you in the game and just eat innings. I think the definition of an innings eater.
Early Win is Also, an incredible name for a baseball pitcher.
It really is.
Like
early win.
Yeah. What are we doing here? That's just like incredible. But yeah, what a guy throwing 285 innings. You just forget how people are just built different. 255 innings, 274 innings. A lot of innings.
I believe he had a 300 inning season, I believe.
I think most of you guys 285. Looks like. Still, I mean, it's still like super wild. Also was also fought in World War II. Look at that.
Yeah.
What a guy.
My team, American heroes.
I mean,
Your team, full of bigots.
Yeah, it's just not a great team.
Okay, not all. Just a couple of the worst ones.
Okay, James. That's an awesome guy. Early win. I like that guy. My birthday pick. You ready for this, James?
I am.
Another San Diego kid. How about that? He's
I actually do know who this is.
You know what? And he's also currently in the Padres organization.
Yeah, I know who this is.
Rancho Bernardo High School's own Cole Hamels.
Really high WAR for Cole Hamels. I did not know how.
Weirdly high. 59 career WAR. This is no disrespect to Cole Hamels. Do not take this as disrespect. I know Cole listens to the podcast.
Come on our podcast, Cole.
Yeah, I just you just don't think of Cole Hamels as it's like, you know what? He has stuff that's consistently good. But his stuff has been consistently good his whole career, apart from the past 2 years. If you get rid of the last 2 years, he's been a good pitcher. 59 career WAR, 3.4 career earned run average. That's great.
That is great.
15 years in the show from 2006 to now. Yeah, and maybe he'll throw some innings for the Padres in late 2023? Question mark? I don't know.
I mean,
he hasn't pitched since 2020. He has a Padre hat in the Baseball Reference photo.
Oh, good, cool. I mean,
He's committed, I'm trying to say.
When I proposed this year's All-Star game, what we should do, I first looked at who was the highest WAR guy on my birthday and who was the highest WAR on your birthday, and I'm like, if Bip Falk and Cole Hamels is something to be shown, something to like predict this, I'm going to lose badly.
But that's my guy, Cole Hamels.
Well, my next guy might be one of my more interesting people in baseball history.
Okay.
Born January 30th with a career WAR of 6.6.
I like it.
All right. Played from 1881 to 1894. 13 seasons. Tony Mullane. Was not born in this country. Was born in Ireland. But he was the first ambidextrous pitcher. And he would switch left-handed or right-handed in between at bat just to throw off the hitters. 13 seasons, 284 wins, 3.5 ERA. But again, the 6.66 WAR
and the ambidextrous. That's you have to pick that.
Yeah. I mean, and also there was nobody else with higher WARs.
That's awesome. Cool. My next pitcher is a favorite of yours and mine. Pitcher and outfielder from ye old 1875 to 1892.
Is this my favorite player of all time?
Pud Galvin.
It's my old favorite player of all time.
Also born on Christmas Day. How fun is that? I maybe next time we have an All-Star break, I'll do some investigation, like which birthday yields the best WAR. Because Ricky and Pud are on Christmas Day.
Which day in general of all?
Yeah. I think Christmas Day it's doing pretty good stuff. Let me see real fast what it is. Yeah, I mean it's Pud and Ricky, I guess. The rest of the guys are fine. People are good 40 to 50 years, but I guess never mind. Maybe I'll look in and see which if you want to have a kid that's going to be good at baseball, we should tell people what day they should have their kid born.
Well, you're glossing over Pud.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, multiple 300 wins, the guy was the best player. I mean, was it fun reading about that guy?
Sorry?
Pud, he was fun to read about.
Oh, yeah. 2.85 and run average. He's just that kind of guy that I think when I think of old time baseball players, he's the guy. He's the quintessential old time baseball player that's like, he's pitching in a suit. It's like, what are you doing, dog?
Short, stocky.
Oh, yeah.
Drunk half the time.
I mean, that's the only way to live life, really. Also, tragic, died at the age of 45. A lot of early deaths in this baseball.
Well, he took experimental drugs and he was drunk all the time.
Yeah, but it's still sad.
Go back and listen. I mean, yeah, he was on my James team.
Yeah.
Because his name was really James Calvin, and they called him Pud.
Yeah.
And he took the elixir of Brown, which was the first performance-enhancing steroids, but it was 1800s medicine. It was nothing. It was nothing.
So he's my third pitcher.
Well, my fourth pitcher probably pitched against old Pud.
Okay.
Pitched from 1880 to 1893. Won the Triple Crown. Was the second pitcher ever to get 300 wins. Hall of Famer Tim Keefe. He had 342 career wins. Also an epic Knickerbocker mustache. Like, just look at that mustache, man.
Yeah, I wonder back then if it was just like, how the Yankees have like a strict no facial hair policy? Was it completely opposite for baseball back then? It was like, where's your mustache, dog? You want to play baseball? Where's your mustache?
So this guy looks like like a Knickerbocker boxer. Those.
Oh, yeah.
Put up your dukes, old man. Come on. He played 14 years, 342 career wins because he was one of those. Like Pud, he pitched every game.
Yeah. 619 innings pitched in 1883.
Yes, he pitched every inning. Won the Triple Crown.
I'm sorry to cut you off. In 1883, he started 68 games. He went 41-27. So mathematically, he pitched.
He got a decision on every start.
68 complete games. What? What? Things were just different back then for the New York Metropolitans. Wow, 1883. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's wild. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, he also played for the Troy Trojans.
That's wild. 68 complete games. No wonder he has 86 WAR.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. My next player, a modern player, retired in 2008. Spent most of his career with the Baltimore Orioles and then the New York Yankees. One Mike Mussina.
Oh.
And this is no disrespect to Mike Mussina. Also like Cole Hamels. I know Mike Mussina is a Hall of Famer, but I didn't realize how much. I mean, he has 82.8 WAR, 3.6 career ERA. He didn't have 68 complete games. So I don't know how good he really is.
I know, right?
But for a modern baseball player, it's pretty good. It's still wild to me through 68 complete games. Tim Keefe's a madman. Shout out to Tim Keefe.
Tim Keefe.
But yeah, Mike Mussina is my second to last pitcher. And yeah, obviously from 91 to 2008, and maybe not obvious, but yeah, we grew up watching him around that time, and good pitcher. And yeah, that's my second to last pitcher. So who's your last pitcher, James?
My last pitcher, sort of modern. He pitched from 1986 to 2003, born January 2nd. David Cone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know David Cone.
David Cone is the quintessential. I mean, he won the Cy Young in 1994.
Right.
But that was the strike shortened season, so who knows? At that point, he was the best pitcher. But David Cone if you had to say who is the best number 2 starter of all time,
Probably David
David
Cone.
Cone. Yeah, like he's not going to be he pitched the 16th perfect game in 1999. So I mean, he was a great pitcher, 5-time All-Star. He won 5 World Series with all of his teams. But no one ever, because in this time he pitched with the Maddoxes, the Glavins, the Smoltz,
the Clemenses,
the Clemenses, the Martinez, the Johnsons, the Kevin Browns. No one ever thought him as one of those superstar aces.
Right.
He was a New York Yankee. He was never their ace. That was going to be, Eddie Pennant or a few other guys. So he was always just like the number 2 guy. He was captain, number 2 pitcher, and 62.3 career WAR. Not bad for David Cone.
That's a great career.
Yeah.
Way more than I thought it would be, to be honest.
Me too.
And finally, my last pitcher pitched from 1965 to 1988, a 24-year career. Pitched for the St. Louis Cardinals, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Giants, bounced around to the White Sox and Cleveland. Finished his career with the Minnesota Twins. Won Steve Carlton with 90.2 WAR, 329 wins, and a career ERA of 3.22.
Hall of Famer, if I do believe.
Hall of Famer, yes. Once you cross 70 WAR, you should just be a Hall. Like I think that's,
Yeah, I mean,
you can make a case for 60 to 70 of being a.
Bobby Grich, 71. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Listen, I've learned 2 very important things in this exercise. 1, Bobby Grich needs to be a Hall of Famer. 2, how do we get Tim Keefe to be a modern player? How do we transport him? Because you can't tell me you don't want a guy who could throw 68 complete games in your roster. You just want that guy.
We need to find him, dig him up, harvest his DNA, and put it into some of these pitchers.
Oh, yeah. Imagine if the Rays had Tim Keefe just around. They're like, oh, it was a Tim Keefe game. You mean the next any day? Yeah.
Pitch every game, yeah.
Timmy.
Tim
Get in there, Timmy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Good game. I like your players a lot.
yeah, I thought we found some characters. I appreciate characters in baseball.
I mean, yours are a little bit more racist than mine.
Yeah.
But hey, you have Ricky Henderson and you have Ozzie Smith, and those are 2 players.
The pitchers are not toxic. It's the outfielders.
Yeah, outfielders.
Specifically 2 outfielders are very toxic. But
Ricky Henderson plays left. The other 2 guys play, and they could just fight all day long.
Fight over there.
Yeah.
And you're I think honestly, like your pitching core is better.
Oh, my pitching core is pretty decent.
Yeah, I think it's I like your pitching core a lot. I think.
Oh, I'm not upset with my pitching core. Tim Keefe was a fun find.
Oh, that's awesome.
So my total,
Okay, I'm ready.
926.3 WAR. 0.2 if we go by Baseball Reference on our walls.
Yeah, my total is 1,084.1.
Oh,
Not that far apart.
No, it's closer than James and Joey teams.
Yeah, that's true. That one I had no shot. No shot. I'm interested next year, James, what you're going to cook up with. 'Cause I like this exercise. It's fun looking at old characters, old baseball players. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun exercise. It's fun to learn about old players. It's also good to remind yourself of like there's certain players you just like you don't think are that good, and then you're like, actually they were pretty good. Like Mike Mussina, I don't know.
I would never have guessed Mike Mussina had that high of WAR.
Yeah,
I know he's a good player, but also he never faced this a lot.
Right,
he was never a National League guy.
Right.
David Cone, he was a Met for a long time. I've personally seen him pitch.
Yeah,
but he was never like. You would never have thought of him as one of the aces of the 90s.
Right. That's true. Well, cool, James. That was super fun. Well, thank you for listening to this podcast. I know it's been a long one, but we love doing these. Our next episode will be more Padres related. But
these are just fun for us because we're baseball nerds. And give us a thumbs up if you're also a baseball nerd.
Yeah. And if you like history, like it is so much fun to go on Baseball Reference and just like searching old baseball players and you search their name because like a lot of these guys are characters. They have weird stories behind them. It's just fun to see, like Tim Keefe. Look up Tim Keefe a little bit. See what his deal is. See where his kids are. What if his like kids are like super freaks, and they just don't know it. They need to be. They They too can pitch over 60.
If you want to look up any old timer baseball players, Tim Keefe and Pud Galvin.
Yeah.
And I now have to find out if they ever face each other.
They've gotta face each other, right? Well, let's do a baseball reference search real fast. So Pud Galvin was 1875, 1892. Tim Keefe was in the same time, right?
1880. 1880.
Overlap.
Yeah, to 1893.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
New York Giants. Yeah, they played in the same organizations. They must have faced each other.
They knew each other at least.
It could have been. There's no way. How many professional baseball players were around then? That weren't.
But look these guys up. They're funny, and it's a good. I like doing this, Joey.
Yes, good team, James. Until next time, go Padres.
Go Padres.
And there it is! Oh, doctor! You can hang a star on that, baby!